I spoke to this business owner recently, and it's a conversation I hear all the time. We have this conversation, and the thing is, most business owners don't really want to admit to this. They keep it secret, they keep it hidden because they feel like it speaks about who they are personally. And they're afraid to speak about this because they're afraid of what other people are going to say or what people are going to judge them or things like that. And look, I've been there. I've been that guy. Think about this. Your business is doing amazing. Whether you're doing 600,000 a year, 700,000, a million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million a year. But then you have the same cycle every winter, every off season. You're the slow season bleeds into the busy season, and then the busy season you just get hammered with work and you're just going nonstop. And then winter comes, the slow season comes, and things slow down. And as you're going through that slow season, all of a sudden you're broke every year. It's the same cycle over and over again. I remember the first time it happened to me, I was so stressed out, so frustrated. And then it happened again. And I went to my accountant, like, this is my financial person, right? They're the person that should know how to guide me through this. So I go to see them and we talk about it. And I didn't really get much guidance. I was frustrated because I was hoping that this person here, this professional, was going to be able to guide me through and help me turn my business around and help me discover a way where I can make all this money in the busy season and then actually take time off and relax in the slow season and work on the business and build the business. But they couldn't. And I couldn't figure out why. And I had all these big numbers that I was accomplishing, and I talked to business owners all the time. They had these amazing numbers they're accomplishing, these really great top line numbers. But then what happens? Every year, year after year after year after year, they're making money, but they're not keeping it. You see, a lot of business owners, they focus on the top line. And look, this isn't your fault. Maybe you never learned, maybe you were never taught how to operate the business. You were taught how to do your craft, whatever your business is that you started because you're passionate about it. You were taught that part. But the financial side of the background, the business side of it, you don't fully understand. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need to learn as we go. And the problem is so many people get caught up in this mistake, this mindset that I have to figure it all out myself. I can't ask for help because asking for help makes me look weak. When in actuality, it's the opposite. When you ask for that help, you don't look weak. You're stronger because you're willing to admit, hey, you know what? I don't know everything. There's going to be somebody out there that knows more than me and they can help me. And that's when we step away from with the right person leading us, we're able to step away from that limiting mindset. You see, business owners focus, so many of them focus on the top line, the revenue. But see, revenue, it feeds the ego. And look, that's nice for the first couple of years. We can get those flashy cars, those influencers online with the Lambos, whatever it is, right? Revenue feeds the ego. But the reality is, profit is what feeds the family. I don't care how much you make. That's not what matters. It's how much you keep. Look, I'm going to give you an easy example here. If you do $1 million a year in revenue, but it costs you $1.2 million to make that $1 million, you don't have a business. You got a problem. And being able to step up and own that, and I see the same cycle over and over again with business owners. And there's some of them, I've been talking for years, and they say to me year after year, Doug, this is the year I need to do something different. This is the year we need to work together. How can we work together this year? And I got to be honest with you, those that ask year after year, how do we work together, but never pull the trigger, you look like an ask hole because you keep asking questions, you keep asking for help, but you don't implement anything that's being taught you, anything that's being shared with you. You don't actually want to take that step. Maybe you're afraid of change. Maybe you're looking at somebody like, why don't I know this stuff? This stuff is basic. I should know this stuff. Why would somebody else know better than me? And the reality is, you know what you're focused on. You know your lane. And when I was going in my business, that was the lane I was focused on, was my business. And for years, I remember it. And tell me if you relate to this. My accountant would say to me, Doug, you had an amazing year. you made this much profit. And I get all excited and I celebrate. I remember the first year this happened, I got really excited. I was celebrating. I was like, that is amazing. You are freaking phenomenal. I love what you do. You work magic with the numbers. That is amazing that I have that much profit. Hey, can you do me a favor, Mr. and Mrs. Accountant? Can you show me where that profit is? Well, you spent it. Here I was looking confused. Like, I spent it. Well, if I spent it, how's that profit? I don't understand. Can you explain that to me? And that accountant couldn't really explain it to me. So it was time to level up, right? Your current self, your current version of yourself got you to the stage you're at, right? But this current version of yourself, you weren't that version 10 years ago, were you? No, you had to grow. You had to pivot. You had to adapt and grow to a new version of you. So the version of you that got you to this level, guess what? That version of you may just be tapped out. That version may have plateaued. You may need to let go of that version and build a new version of you. You see, because a new version is going to take that next step. It's going to let go of the ego, drop that armor, and reach out for the guidance. Look for the support from somebody else. Look, the problem I see all the time, money comes in and money goes out. At the end of the month, there's always more month left at the end of the money. Except in the late summer and fall months when we're at the peak of the busy season, there's all sorts of money just coming in, hand over fist, when you can sell ice to an Eskimo. But you see, there's no real structure. That was one of the things I discovered with myself, and then having this conversation with other people recently, especially, and over the past couple of years, there's no real structure. There's no separation. They collect the money and they put it all in one spot. It just goes all into this bank account. And they don't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it. Maybe you don't know what to do with it either. You see, we're not taught this stuff in school. School doesn't teach us how to structure our money, how to organize our money. So we don't really understand how to do it. And let's be real. Most service-based businesses, blue-collar business owners, trade business owners, they're not accountants. They're not financial gurus. They're great at their craft. They are amazing at their craft. And they do something that a lot of people can't do. And people admire it. They look at this craftsmanship and they wonder, how do people do such an amazing craft? And then it breaks my heart because I see this all the time. The business owner that has to work until his last day on earth because he didn't build any sort of buffer. He didn't really build a business because his ego got in the way. Or maybe he didn't know where to look for help. Or maybe he was too afraid to ask for help. But you see, one of the things I learned, and this was like, it was game changing for me. I remember my bookkeeper, after I fired that one accountant, I switched to having a bookkeeper and accountant. And look, this is something, if we work together, you see, this is a requirement for many reasons. We've got to meet on a regular basis. Most often it's weekly. As things grow, maybe we switch to bi-weekly. But there's numbers, there's information that we have to share. You have to share with me so we can see how the business is doing. As an example, one of my mentors taught me this one. If you go to a football game and you're watching the game, you think of your favorite team. Maybe you're a soccer fan of European football. Maybe it's hockey. Maybe it's baseball. Whatever your sport is. You go to a game and you're watching the game and you look up the scoreboard. You want to see the score, right? You want to see who's winning and who's losing, but it's blank. There's no information there whatsoever. You don't know what quarter you're in. You don't know how much time is left in this quarter. You don't know what down you're in, how many yards are left. You know nothing. You don't know who's got how many points because nobody's keeping score. I see that all the time in businesses. You see, we need to keep score of our business. And that's why when we work together, you have to see your accountant or your bookkeeper or both more often because we need to keep track of your numbers. And one of the things to do with my new bookkeeper, when I switched over, is not only did we keep track of our numbers and meet on a regular basis, we had quarterly sessions where we discuss, and I'd get an email. And I remember the first time this happened, I was like a kid on Christmas morning. My bookkeeper sends me an email. Hey, Doug, look, we're going to recap the last quarter. this is what it looked like. This was your revenue. This was your expenses. This was your profit. This was and just a breakdown of everything for that quarter. And I had that email on one screen, and on the other screen, I opened up my bank account or bank accounts, multiple. And like, yeah, there's the income. There's the employment expenses, the payroll. But more importantly, there's the profit, dollar for dollar, cent for cent. I could see exactly the profit that my bookkeeper was telling me I made that quarter because I discovered a way to separate it and to put it in a place where I had it and I didn't have to worry about it. And at the end of the year, when I did my taxes and it's okay, this is what you owe for the year, I'm like, oh, look at that. I got more set aside than I needed because I came up with a structure and a plan to separate that money because it's too easy as a business owner. If you don't have that separation, you don't have the clear visibility. And I've done that too, where it's like, oh man, I got 100 grand sitting in the bank. And the end of the year is coming and I know I need stuff. So what can I buy to offset my tax implications while I can also grow my business? You see, because every dollar you spend on your business that is an actual business expense, the cost of doing business. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a financial expert. You got to talk to your expert about that. But when you invest in equipment, you invest in professional services to grow your business. That's a business expense. And when you spend that money, you get a rebate from the government, essentially. And I would rush to do that and then find out, oh, I spent too much money. Has that happened to you where you spent too much money and now your accountant is saying, hey, look, you owe this much money, but you don't know where you're going to get that money from because you spent it. Look, I want to give you a simple little structure here that I did and I help my clients with as well. And this simple structure was life-changing for me. You see, I started off with one bank account, right? So many of us do that. We need our bank account to deposit our checks, whatever. However we're collecting our payments, we need that bank account for that money to go into. But here was the game changer for me, and it can be for you like it has been for so many others. I want you to open up 2 extra bank accounts. One of them is going to be your profit account, and the other one's going to be your tax account. When you collect money, when somebody pays an invoice and the cash goes into your account, let's use an example here, $10,000 because it's a nice, easy round number. $10,000 goes into your operating account. That's where all your deposits go. And from that, you take 10%, put in your profit account, or whatever the number is. It works differently for different businesses. 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever your percentage is, goes into that profit account. And then you take, say, 10% again, nice, easy number. We'll work with 10% for both. So you get $10,000 in, $1,000 goes into your profit account, and $1,000 goes into your tax account. You now have $8,000 to operate your business from. Now that's going towards the expenses that you've already incurred for the business. But you still have the money set aside that you need for your profit, for your tax account. And look, we go way deeper than this. This is surface level. I just want to give you a quick example. And look, the thing is, you don't rise to the level of your income. You fall to the level of your system. So if you have no system in place, no way to separate and visualize and see this difference, you're going to fall to that again and again. Like this happens all the time because as small business owners, we often have the misconception that revenue equals success. I remember having a conversation with a young business owner. I see the growth in this guy. Just phenomenal. I can see him going so far. And we get talking one day and we're talking about his goals and his targets. And I said, well, what's your goal for the next year, the next fiscal year? And he's been doing multiple 6 figures for a couple of years. He says, I want to hit $1 million. And I hear that all the time. Business wants to hit $1 million or 3 million or 5 million or 10 million. And I ask him why. And we went deeper on it. And it turns out that to him, he thought that $1 million in revenue equaled success. Because he was measuring his success off the vanity of revenue. as opposed to the true definer of profit, what you keep. Again, if it costs you $1.2 million to make $1 million, you're burning money. That is the main reason this happens so often, is we lead with ego. We lead with self. Instead of saying, you know what, I don't know as much as I need to know. I need to ask for help, or guidance, or some sort of system in place. Another reason is business owners have no discipline with money. They get this influx of money, and I've been there. No judgment here. I've been there. I've been that guy. You get this influx of money, like, oh my God, I got this amount of money. I've never seen this type of money. What can I spend it on? I know I'm going to get a lift kit for my truck, or I'm going to upgrade my truck, or nice rims, or I'm going to buy a boat because I've always wanted a boat, or many numerous different things where you shouldn't be spending the money when you should be putting aside or reinvesting in your business, because we're trying to fill a void. There's part of us that needs to fill a void, and that's why we buy stuff, silly stuff that we shouldn't be buying with that money. And the other reason is there's no real intentional allocation. You just collect the money and you just let it sit in your bank account and hope and pray that at the end of the year you're going to have enough. You hope and pray that at the end of the week or the end of the month there's going to be enough money left over to pay all your bills, to pay all your obligations. Hope is a terrible way to run your business. You need to have some structure there. It doesn't matter if it's your business or your life. Operating on hope alone is not enough. It's great to have hope. We all need to have hope. We need to have hope, and we need to have faith. But if you operate from a place of hope only, your business isn't going to last. If you just hope that people are going to like you, you just hope that your life is going to get better, you just hope that you're going to get that new client, you hope that you're going to win that big deal, you hope that you're going to be profitable, it's not enough. You need that next step. You need to actually take the action. Like, if you don't control your money for your business or your life, but if you don't control your money for your business is controlling you. Is that what you want? Like, did you start this business so you can have a high demanding job? Or did you start this business to make a difference? Did you start your business because you want to have a successful business? One of my favorite things, and my favorite way to look at it, you see, quite often as a business owner, and I've been that guy. We've all been there, where we think that profit is what's left over at the end of the day. But what if, and this is something I was teaching in my seminars, and I remember I had this gentleman come to my seminar, and about a year later, he invites me he's hosting a workshop of his own. Came to my workshop, now he's hosting his own. And mine was called a Profit Acceleration Workshop, because that's what we're doing. We're focusing on accelerating and increasing your profits. And that's some key takeaways, some key steps, some key fundamental information that you could take and apply at a base level to increase your profit. And he invited me to his workshop. And he called his Profit Now Workshop. And I attended it. And I'm listening to what he's teaching. And you see, it's similar to what I was teaching. He took some of the tools I was using and remanufactured them for his own teaching, because he saw the value. He saw that business owners need to understand where their profit is. You need to be focused on making a profit. And profit is not what's left over at the end of the day. When you sell a job, if you sell something and you're just hoping and praying that at the end of it there's profit left over, you're on a downward spiral, my friend. Profit is not what's left over. It's what you take first. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Profit is not what's left over. It's what you take first. And when you start operating that way, when you start paying yourself your profit first, it's going to change the way you operate your business. It's going to change the way you look at the numbers of your business. And the reality is, We talk about systems, we talk about people, we talk about procedures, all these different things in the business. If you want to know the success, the surest way for a business to be successful, yes, you need the right people. You need to sell the right product. But the language of your business is accounting. It's numbers. And if you don't know the numbers in your business, if your business isn't profitable, you're going to end up doing what 95%, on average, 95% of small businesses do in the first 5 years. And that's closing the doors. I don't want to see you close the doors of your business. I want to see you win. I want to see you build this business that you've been dreaming about. I want to see you have the success that you've been dreaming about. So when would now be a good time to put a system in place to standardize and visualize and realistically see where your money lives in your business? When would now be a good time to do that? Look, you don't have to do this alone. You can choose to keep doing it alone and struggle and fight. Or you can raise your hand, or you can reach out and you can ask somebody to guide you and help you. Because having that person to help you avoid costly mistakes is going to make you even more money. I'll leave you with this. Revenue feeds the ego, but profit feeds the family.